Rick, good to see you. Can we do one more?
Yes, let's do another podcast. What do you have in mind?
Well, one of the most inspiring leaders that you and I have, talked about, and we, his model for life during and a historically just horrific time, is Viktor Frankl. And there's a quote from him that I'd like you to talk about what it means to you, how it resonates for you, how it shows up in your life. And the quote is, "The last of human freedoms is choosing our attitude in any given situation."
Yeah, that's a very powerful thought. It's true, but it's very difficult for people to believe because they believe circumstances are the things that cause them to react and they have no choice. They think circumstances give you no decision about what to do. The circumstance tells you what to do. Viktor Frankl, Frankl, was a psychiatrist, and he was a Jew, and he was unfortunately in a concentration camp for most of World War II. So many people die, and he wrote a book, 100 pages, very easy read. You can knock it off in an hour or two, um, called "Man's Search for Meaning." Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. And the book is entirely optimistic. It's about choices in the face of adversity. And what you just said, Keith, the idea is that the last freedom you have when everything is being controlled in your life by someone else, Nazis in this case, guards, uh, your unspeakable hunger, your filth, all of those things you have no control over. You do have one thing that's left, and that one thing is, how do you think about it? How do you choose to think about it? And so this book is basically about, no matter what your circumstance, something as severe as the Holocaust or something as simple as being cut off in traffic, how do you think about it? And if you're thinking things that are anxious and fearful and hateful, that's a choice. That's a choice. It's not the circumstance. That is you choosing to act that way. Now, that was a very powerful lesson for me. I still have that all the time. I still feel like people do things to me and I take it personally until I snap out of it and remember I have a choice how I want to react. Uh, and I just don't know how my life would be if I continued on the path that I was 40 years ago, which was just to hate everything and everybody who didn't respect me.
Mm.
What do you think?
I agree with you, Rick. I look back on my life and I really thought I was choosing. Like I thought I was actually practicing agency. This is career I'm going to go into. This is what how much, I'm going to make, how much money I'm going to make, or how I'm going to achieve this goal. I thought I was literally choosing what I want to go in, what I was going to do. And I guess on a base level, there was some choice there, but on a level in which I there is on a level in which I'm freeing myself from suffering, I was not doing that. The choices I was making, striving, being completely consumed with being a perfectionist, worried about what people thought about me, said or didn't say, even though I said I didn't. When they did it, I had some. When they didn't do what I wanted them to do, I had something to say about it. So clearly, I was bothered by it. All of that choosing that I was doing or thought I was doing was really, uh, it was hitched to a wagon of suffering. And I just kept putting more and more in that wagon. And then I made a different choice. And that choice was that I was going to choose to do things that did not bring suffering. I was going to choose to see the world in a way that did not bring suffering. And we did a podcast, a while back that said that pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. And Viktor Frankl demonstrated that. There was tremendous pain in the situation that he was in the concentration camp. And he made a choice that pain is beyond my control. Suffering I'm not taking that on. I will choose my attitude in this situation. And he did. And what you said, Rick, was just so accurate that his book that tells about his experience there and beyond was an optimistic book. It was a very hopeful book.
Mhm.
And I am, hopefully, living my life to where I'm making choices that lead and contribute to inner peace for me. And I talked in an earlier podcast about being asked to come and give a talk around diversity, equity, inclusion. And a lot of the talks that I've heard so far are have been ones in which there is tremendous suffering along the way, and the approach, uh, could possibly lead to more suffering of the approach that some people are taking. Not all, but some. And my approach of the same thing is not denying the tremendous pain that has happened in terms of that has been caused in terms of discrimination amongst so many groups of people along the history of the world. It's no denial of that, but the suffering piece is when we have a choice. I had an aunt that grew up in the 20s, 30s, the 1920s, 30s, and beyond. And when I met her, she was in her 60s. Where she lived in Mississippi, in Tennessee. She lived doing it, man. Pre-civil rights. Her parents were coming out of slavery, and stuff like that. And so that's the time in which she lived. And Rick, this woman was filled with joy every single day, sprinkling kindness everywhere. People loved to be around her. She was clear that she had a choice, and she was choosing her attitude even in the face of those unspeakable things. And we talked, so many times about people like Nelson Mandela and Gandhi and others that have done the same thing. And I think what Viktor Frankl says now is just incredibly true. And for people that want to be on this path of inner peace and want to do good work in the world, I think is one in which they should seriously consider adopting in their own lives, and really staying mindful at all times. I have a choice. Even here in this situation, I have a choice.
Yeah, that's so great, Keith. You're right. In every situation, we have a choice. When I just want to add one little footnote, and that is that I think when I was choosing to feel outraged and to have my buttons pushed by other people, feeling disrespected or feeling unloved or rejected, or all of the things that I conjured up in my head I thought was occurring, I was choosing suffering. And I thought to myself, why in the hell would you choose to feel bad? What's the point of that? And what it was I liked being a victim. I liked the idea that I had good reason for being depressed, for not being functional, for not having a good day, for not being polite to other people. I had good reason.
Or being angry or being fed up, right?
All of that, all those negative emotions. I had good reason because you did something to me, or the world did something to me, and I'm choosing to feel like I've been victimized by it. Well, as soon as I figured out that I was choosing something that was causing me more suffering than this external, things started to change.
Yeah, same here, Rick. And I don't want the listeners to walk away that this means not being, active. Yeah, definitely be active, but you get to choose your attitude while you're being active. Your house floods. This could be the end of the world. This always happens to me. What am I going? That's one attitude to take. Another
Yeah.
attitude would be like, man, life comes and goes. There are valleys and there are peaks. This is part of the human experience. This happens to be one in which I get to choose my attitude away. Man, I'm going to get new paint on these walls. They needed painting for a long time. Floorboards. Oh, we got flooded. Great. Oh, we're moving out. Oh, we're going camping. Let's go. I mean, you get to choose every situation. Loss of a job, cool. I think they still let people volunteer in the community. That's a choice too. I mean, every single thing. Going through a divorce, okay. You can go through the divorce bitter, or you can come out of the divorce better. And when I say better, not better than your partner, your former partner, not better in terms of I'm going to make even more money than I had before. No, better in that you've let go all resentment. You've let go that your life has been, irrevocably, destroyed. You let go all of those things to be like, man, I have another opportunity here. What will I do with this one? And then it just becomes you. All that starts with choosing your attitude. And I dare say that if Viktor Frankl could do it, Nelson Mandela could do it, man, Keith Jones, he lost his job. Dude, let's go. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it, baby. So
You did it, man. I love you. I love that attitude. You can feel grief and feel terrible, but just don't wallow, feel it and then get on with it. You're not a victim.
no,
Choose your attitude.
Rick told we have this story. I don't know if I told you this, but Tim and I have talked about it a million times. And I'll end with this, and it has to do with the attitude that when Tim was going through his situation, he was going through a divorce, and the house that he and his wife had, the house went to her. His wages he paid. We know the story, like incredible alimony to get that over sooner than later, and the whole custody thing, and that he loves his children. He went through all that, and he chose that he was going to work on being peaceful as he went through it. And when he was at his rock bottom, he just said, "KJ, I need you to help me, create the greatest ToBeRe story ever." And then, but what preceded that was when you went through, your relationship,
yeah,
with Marie ending. And that was the greatest ToBeRe story ever. My man, to like going through that, going through what you go through in a divorce in our country, how it impacts your life, your retirement, everything else, and your home, everything. And you start going around the world doing triathlons and everything else, right? Greatest ToBeRe story ever. The situation that I went through at ToBeRe and Mayo, greatest ToBeRe story ever. Our great friend Brian, Pete went through some stuff with work, that could have been daunting for other people to where like, I got to get out of this career. And now look what Pete is now. Greatest ToBeRe story ever. And then, our great friend Brian, like how he is turning really lemons into lemonade. Wow. Greatest ToBeRe story ever. What do they all have in common? Choosing your attitude. They all have in common surrounding yourself with other people that are vulnerable, that show you when they are faced with these daunting opportunities, and we share with each other vulnerably about any fears that might show up, or how this is a true test and we don't know the road forward. And we give each other, a safe place to express these things, as well as support to take the next step in front. And all of that comes with starting with a great attitude, a choosing attitude. So, Rick, you want to sign us off?
I think I can't, man. I think you said everything beautifully, Keith. Just well said. And I love those examples of all of our buddies who have been knocked in the head by life and kicked while they were down, and maybe grieved for 20 minutes and then got up and bounced back and got to work, and without any blame, just getting to work, making sure that you're the one who's choosing what you want for your life. And it shouldn't be suffering and victimhood. Love that, Keith. Beautiful.
Absolutely, man. And I'll end with this. If you can picture this in your head, if the listeners will close their eyes, oftentimes athletes are, a play in which they fall into the court, they've got knocked down to the court, and a friend, a teammate comes over and extends a hand and helps them back to their feet. And that's what we've done every single time for each other.
Yes.
Every single time we've helped each other back to our feet, man. It's beautiful, man. I love you.
We got a great life. We got great lives, man.
So good, man. All these blessings, Rick. All these blessings.
So true, brother.
Man, I love you.
I love you, Keith. We'll see you next time. Adios.
Adios.